The following is from the Agency for Instructional Technology, AIT.
Reflections and cast shadows are images of an object on another surface. In this program, Paul will show you how they differ and how an artist draws them.
A reflection is not a mirror image of an object. It's another view from another surface. Now, shadows are something different, but let's take up reflections first. Looking at this picture, the eye level is about at the top of this table. So everything above that eye level we're looking up at, and everything below this eye level we're looking down at. But here we have another surface, the water. This is another view. It's almost like another eye level down here. Now you can see the difference in the reflection. The girl's parasol is held at an angle, and you'll notice that you can barely see any of the underneath side of the parasol. But down here at this second view, you can see quite a bit of it down here. And the same way with the table. Here the tabletop is almost on the eye level, so you can see very little of the underside of the table. But here in this reflection, which is the second view on this surface, which is water, you see quite a bit of it. That's another view, quite a bit of the underneath part of the table, and you see less of the vase because it is a different view. Let's look at another example of reflection. Here we see a boat resting on the water below the eye level, and the horizon and the eye level is up here. So we're looking down on the boat. That's our view. But the reflection is going to be something different. In the reflection, in the water, if the water is still, the reflection is going to be of the sides of the boat and the back of the boat here, like this. And this will go down like this. And we'll only see the sides. We cannot see down into the boat from the reflection. However, we can see part of the mast here reflected here. And of course the color reflection is going to be the same as the boat's. If water waves, of course the reflection will wave. And if we have other objects here, be the same way. If this has a cap on it, or this will reflect down here. Like a post, we would be looking at the underside of the post down here, and the underside here, because the eye level goes right between them. So here's another example to show you that a reflection is not a mirror image. Here is an exception in reflections. If you have an object, such as this block, and it's resting on a reflective surface, water or ice, and your eye level is through that object, where you cannot see the top or not see the bottom of it, then the reflection will be pretty much a mirror image. Now it may be a little shorter, but it will approach a mirror image. If the sides are straight on this object and there is no wavy, rough surface here, then it will look pretty much the same. Now, you will have a little difference in color. The color of the water, which is a reflected sky, will have something to do with it. It can be lighter or darker. It's usually a little bit lighter. But the color can be different also, even though the mirror image of the sides of the block will be the same. There are books that'll show you how to plot reflections. I don't recommend you try them, though. They're very complicated and highly technical, usually used by architects. What I strongly suggest is, if you're interested in reflections, that you observe them on site. If you have a drawing or a painting that involves reflections, the best thing is go out and study the reflections. And then when you come back to do your work, or even sketching out on location, you'll have a lot more confidence in your picture and in the reflections. A cast shadow is like a reflection in that they are both images on another surface. But that's where the similarity ends. A cast shadow is a shadow that an object blocks between a light source. And there are two kinds of light sources. Let's look at the first light source here. We'll call it a radiating light source, and it's usually from artificial light. Now, on a radiating light source, the rays strike the object in a fan-shaped or radiating way through the points. And the direction of the cast shadow radiates. That means it's wider down here than it is at the base. So this is not an exact plotted cast shadow, but it gives you the idea that on artificial light you have this condition here. Now, the light source will determine the angle, the height of it. And we'll see in a moment how we plot the direction. Now, if you have natural light, such as sunlight, we have parallel light rays. Moonlight's the same way. The sun and the moon are so far away that their radiating rays appear parallel as they strike an object. And then the shadow is parallel. It can tilt in an angle, but it will be parallel, like this. So those are basically the main two types of light sources, and these are the main two types of cast shadows, the radiating shadow and the parallel shadow. Let's plot a shadow from a radiating light source through a figure. If I place my light source up here, this is artificial light. It could be a street light, it could be a lamp, anything that's man-made gives off a radiating light source. Now, after you've established your light source, you need to come directly below the light source to the eye level line, and that will be the vanishing point of your shadow. That's important. The light source, and always directly below that on radiating light, will be your vanishing point for your shadow. Now, that's important because that gives the direction of your shadow. So if you come out from that vanishing point through your object, in this case a figure, you're going to get the direction of your shadow. And since it's a radiating light source, notice how the shadow radiates and gets wider as it gets down here. I can come down through the crutch there and establish where his leg's going to be. Because I'm making points. And if I come down through over his shoulders, and over this shoulder, and over this other shoulder over here, then I'm going to have a point. And look at the hand out here. Look how it'll radiate. It'll go way out here. And then, of course, the head's going to be even further down here. And if we fill that in, we can get the idea of the shape of this shadow. Of course, we could hit all these points, but a lot of this is you're going to make it up and fill in the... Now, the lower the light source, the longer the shadow is going to be. If I would raise the light source here, it would shorten the shadow. So your shadow, it's not drawn here exactly, but the point is that it will radiate, and the length of your shadow is determined by rays of light that come out of the light source, like this, and the direction of your shadow is determined by the shadow vanishing point coming through the base of your object and gives you this cast shadow. I'll plot another cast shadow using the same type of light source, but the difference is here the cast shadow will be falling on an irregular surface. Different planes here. Now, if the natural light source, it could be the sun or the moon, is coming, let's say, in this direction, the light rays will strike the top of the roof somewhere here. And the light rays will be parallel from the top of the head down here somewhere. Now we know that the cast shadow is going to be perpendicular from the object. So it'll go out here somewhere, this way, over and hit the bottom of the building here. Now since there is space here, space doesn't carry a shadow. So the shadow from the post will come out here perpendicular, and the color of it will be, since the grass is green, it'll just be a darker green. Now when it goes down here, you see nothing because it's already shadow. As it follows here, it will be darker color here, and it'll go up here like this, and it'll go over here, and then it'll go straight up here, offset here, and go up and strike here. This will come out here, go down here, fall over here, up here, and then it'll change color, darker green, and it'll end right there.
So you can practice, try drawing a cast shadow from a radiating light source. First, draw an eye level or horizon line. Next, sketch a block in perspective. Determine where your light source is located. Then place a shadow vanishing point beneath it on the horizon line. Draw lines from the light source down through the corners of the block. Then draw shadow direction lines from your shadow vanishing point through the left and right corners of your block out to the lines you drew from the light source. The intersection of these lines form the corners of your cast shadow. Connect these outer lines and color in your shadow.
There are many good books that can show you how to plot shadows. They can get very technical, though, and sometimes you may lose interest. But it's nice to know that there is a system. But my suggestion really is to study them. Study the shapes, directions, and colors of shadow on location. And this is also true of reflections. And the nice thing about reflections and shadows, that they're free.
Remember that shadows and reflections are related because they both are images of an object projected onto another surface. While you can plot how a shadow falls, or even a reflection, the best way to draw them is through careful observation. Drawing with Paul Ringler is produced by the Agency for Instructional Technology in association with the Oklahoma Educational Television Authority.